Hello out there, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Just figured I'd do something a little bit different. Haven't been able to do much recording, been a little under the weather, but today we're taking it back out to the battlefield. A little bit later, wish me luck. But first, I just wanted to go over a few of my favorite daggers here, and why we're covering daggers. I'm gonna get to that now. Recently, we've been doing a lot of armored combat and training. Me and Tiger Ninja primarily, for the most part. Mainly one-on-one matches. Now, oddly enough, studying the history behind a lot of these particular tools and weapons, not just the daggers here, but for example, we prefer using long swords and polearm variations. We don't demand to be historically accurate, so sometimes you'll see us come out with a two-handed longsword that doesn't match a shield of the period, or a polearm that doesn't match the armor of the period that we're wearing. That's not exactly what we're trying to cover. I always stress on this channel that, historical accuracy isn't necessarily stressed, but we do prefer historically inspired. And that's what we try to keep. It's just to try to, infer some information, I guess, if that makes any sense. It's all about learning and fun at the end of the day, and that's mainly what we're working on. So, getting back into it, what the relevance of daggers are to armored equipment. We find that when we're out there, normally the minimal armor that either of us will use will be a helmet, some chainmail, and some form of hard padding, being plastic plates or steel plates, as well as some form of soft padding underneath, whether it's a fencing jacket or a gambeson reproduction. Arming cap under the helmet, etc. Chainmail kind of covers the gaps. That's our just about the least amount of armor equipment that we wear when we train. Now, as we know, historically, armor was way more elaborate than that, especially towards the late medieval period, towards the ending of, I guess the knightly era, you could say, 15th, 16th century. Pretty sure around that same time period, even the samurai weren't around anymore. You really didn't see too much armored combat anymore. But up until that period, the armor was far more elaborate than even what I'm using here in our training fields. Just to, put my point across. Anyhow, even with minimal armor, you'll find it's extremely hard to take out an opponent. When we train, we go for critical hits on everything. And a live, reacting, non-cooperating opponent, it is just hard to get to those critical areas. So what happens in the training, we strive to go for critical areas. You'll find that the armor is kind of very effective to protect you against non-direct hits. Now, this is a personal opinion. Some people would say that, we're just not using the right armor. But from what I'm gathering, I feel like armor was better intended just to protect you from non-direct hits. Most direct hits with a powerful enough weapon, spear, lance, polearm, which is what most soldiers would have been carrying back then, is going to destroy some armor. Not to mention concussions, etc. There's ways to get damaged without having to pierce some armor, and you could still definitely damage someone. For example, we like using the chainmail. Chainmail is very good against slashing attacks. However, impact, you're definitely going to feel it. So a person could definitely get injured without even having to burst through the chainmail rings, to give you my point. There's plenty of techniques that they would use on battlefields to take people out. We all know that. They fought in formations, shields, long spears and lances, so they didn't even have to really essentially get up close. Half swording became a really good technique if you're using a long sword and you wanted to bring someone down. I feel like just in general, half swording and grappling are kind of the way to go if you have an armored opponent. It doesn't matter how big someone is, big or strong. Once we're on the ground, we're all the same size, I guess. And, if you have armor on, the minute you're on the ground, you're exposed. all you have to do is get between the gaps essentially. And that brings us to what's on the table here. That's exactly what these bad boys were intended for. I feel like daggers are often very overlooked in medieval combat. Um, but I feel like they would have been definitely utilized. Not just to mention for utilitarian purposes. I mean, a soldier might be out on a campaign for a while. They got to eat. They have to use a knife to do other things. They're not going to use their big cumbersome sword to do small tasks. They're going to pull out their dagger. All right, so let's get right into it. What we have here, I'm going to start on the outsides. Um, the two outside daggers are just some of my favorite training daggers. Now, all daggers are not made alike, and I don't know the historical name for each and every dagger you see on here. Not to mention, I can't really tell you if they're all historically accurate. I would definitely say these are reproductions of, some historical inspired dagger. Anyways, so let's get right into it. We'll start on the outside with my first favorite on the left, my favorite training dagger. This is a Rondell dagger. I say training because this one is non-bladed, pretty thick steel shaft there, rounded on the tip there. Nice wooden handle. Not really sure what kind of wood this is, but I really like it. You can see the tang going through. Looks like it was almost peened in. Kind of looks like a nut here, but I don't think this is going to screw off at all. Little disc pommel, disc guard. This bad boy's ready to go. You can hold it forward hand or down this way. I've seen a lot of different, training methods and techniques where they use the dagger either forward or down. I haven't done much practicing with this one yet, but I'm looking to. This is definitely one of my favorites. I like to use this in the video as a pointer, and I'm going to continue doing that. Really like the scabbard, I guess you could say, because this is soft. Nice leather scabbard that it came with. Or sheath, I should say, sorry. Sheath. Has a hard, steel cap on it, but this is all soft goods here. So let's put that one down. That's the first dagger. That's a Rondell dagger reproduction, which I really like using, which we're going to be using in our training. If I go all the way to the right over here is my other favorite training dagger. I want to say this was inspired or designed to be similar to a parrying dagger, is I guess what they were called. I really enjoy the forward swept guard. Really encourages a blade to get caught there. This little ring guard here, if you can see that, should help to protect your hand and knuckle somewhat. Nice little pommel on there. I feel it's a decent length. Some of these daggers on this table I'm going to say are definitely a lot smaller than they should be. It seems like most historical daggers would have been bigger. Now, my only complaint with these bad boys, these guys you'll find, in your local flea market, anywhere. While we're on that subject, these three here were all brought to you by the same company. SCZO is the company I found them from. And I really like the craftsmanship and construction on these. But back to this one. This one you got to be careful. These you got to be careful with. Just a little made in China. You can find these at your local flea markets everywhere. I've been finding them more commonly made now with stainless steel blades on them. This one seems like some form of mild steel, maybe even 1045 carbon if I'm not sure. If anyone can tell just by looking at it, please let me know. As far as the guard design, this looks pretty cheap, I want to say. I don't know how long it'll last or stand up to combat, but I'm going to give it a shot. My other biggest complaint is if you could see, this handle is just, it's not pretty, and that's because I made it. The original handle it came with was definitely fancier. It had a nice wire wrap on it, but it was a plastic handle, which, just isn't going to last. So I took it apart. It screwed off right here. I was very disappointed because it came about halfway tanged, and then it had a cheap weld job of a rat tail to finish it off going through here. Um, and I just didn't have the confidence of that. But I still felt like I could get something out of this as a training tool. Maybe if I just did a little fabricating myself, which I'm definitely not above doing on this channel. So I brought it to a good buddy of mine. Thank you, Brandon. And he secured the weld in a little bit more. And then if you could really look in there, you might be able to see in the little gaps here, there's some wood. I made my own wooden handle. I filled in, whatever space was between the wood and the rod for the tang, as well as the space in here with some steel weld just to secure it all up. Cut up a nice leather belt that I had, some black duct tape, and there you go. Now you got a handle. I have practiced using this with some parrying techniques, and it seems fairly functional. The main problem that we have with this one, there's a blooper video where I tried to get Tiger Ninja to wear it, and he took a nice little lunge forward, and this thing just shot right out of the sheath. It was in his belt, and as he stepped forward, the momentum just shot it right out. Back to the scabbard, not sheath. This is a scabbard, being that it's hard. I did really like the scabbard that it came with. Nice little metal cap. Looks really pretty. Even had these little chains with, I guess, like a belt clip. But we tried that and one of them snapped off. So what we're going to try next time is to just literally mount this dagger into the belt. It's kind of rounded there. So, I feel pretty confident it should be a safe weapon. Some people will debate me on that, and I say safety is all in who you're training with, and what you know. Anyways, so that's it for the two training daggers. Please let me know if you guys want to see me and Tiger Ninja, demo those. We're probably gonna try that on our next match when we make it to the field. Just wearing them, we don't really have any formal training in dagger combat, but they they'll be there, give kind of the experience idea what it was like to be wearing the combat and just having your dagger at your side. I don't think you have to be too terribly formally trained to understand how to use a dagger. It's kind of self-explanatory. Most of these daggers would be I would consider them to be thrusting weapons primarily, not slashing. You could even get some parrying in, but I would say mainly thrusting weapons to get a good jab in there, in between the plates or underneath some armor. Anyhow, let's go moving right along. Those were the two training daggers that we're probably going to give a test and, see how they work out. Now let's move it along, and I'm going to go onto the next three daggers that I have that are not suited for training. Let's start with the one to the left here. Now this one, bear with me, because I do not remember the proper name for this dagger. I want to say it's maybe of Celtic origin. I really do like the design on this one. I still feel it might be a little bit short. This is only a stainless steel blade. Nice wooden handle. Also, you can see it's peened in there. Little similar style nut, fastened similar to this one. They're made by the same people, so I'm not surprised. This is, again, SZCO. Not really sure what that stands for. Looks like I got a little bit of tarnish here on this. Guessing these are bronze fittings. And that's my fault. I didn't really clean them off too well. I just kind of have them displayed on my wall. But, I think just observing this dagger, you could tell what the point is. Literally with the point right there. You put that in between some armor, and they're going to remember. They're never going to forget you. That's one. I love the way it looks, but these accents here on this handguard, just the fact that it's kind of, I guess, reverse swept, you could say. Not a big fan. I don't really think you'd use this in too much parrying anyways, but should something get caught here, it's going to be encouraged to go down. Not to mention, if you see here, this kind of digs into my hand. This digs into my hand up here. So it's not particularly something I'd want to use over and over again, or really even try to use in a utilitarian manner in any way. This I would just maybe just carry it. If it was a combat scenario, maybe just for that use. Um, Anyhow, this came with a really nice sheath there. I really like the wrap job on this one. Nice little button. I don't know how accurate this is historically. This sort of a sheath. Anyone knows? Let me know. But that's that dagger. Big fan of that one. Let's move on up to one step up to one that I favor just a little bit more. This one right here, I just got in recently. This is a sax knife. Similar to what, let me hold it this way. That's how it should be held. Similar to what you would see commonly Vikings using, or other Norse tribes or Norsemen. See here, peened again, made by the same people. I really enjoy the style of pommel that they have here in the guard. I'm not sure what kind of bone this is, but this is bone, if anyone can tell by looking at it. Let me know. I doubt it's ivory. This blade wasn't too expensive, so I doubt that. I really like the little fuller here. Nice little point up here. This is a very solid, thick blade. This is definitely high carbon steel. It's definitely still oiled. Starting to get a little rust there. I need to clean that off, but that's how you know this thing is real. This one is still blunted, so I can't really do any cutting with it yet. I'm definitely going to use this one for some tests. I'm going to, this presents a nice opportunity for me to test my edge skills to see what kind of an edge I could put on a blade and sharpness testing. So that's why I really am looking forward to using this one here. Give you one last look at that. I'm not sure what's up with these little button tabs. Anyone knows exactly what that's for? I'm guessing that's just to keep these discs fastened together. I don't know if those are, historically accurate, if they would have done that. Anyone knows, let me know. But one final look at the sax knife. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Sorry if I'm butchering it. Alright, and we're getting ready to put that one back in. It kind of, the design of this is kind of almost reversed to a tanto knife. Normally the blade will be on this side, but with their knives, the blade is on the longer edge. So, I'm curious to see if that really makes a big difference in usage. But let's go on to the sheath. This sheath isn't as fancy as the other one. I do like the little belt loops that it has, at least. That's pretty nice, Nice, pretty leather color. Can't really complain about it. And down to the last and final dagger, but my personal favorite of these here. And I dare say maybe even possibly one of the oldest. I don't know, the sax knife might give us some good competition. But this that I have here, this anatomically correct piece, is called a bollocks dagger. As the name would imply, because it looks like you got a set of bollocks right there. I'm not really sure what inspired that design. And I used to just laugh when I saw these things. This one's a little bit small, I want to say. I got a pretty big hand, but I'm pretty sure a bollocks dagger would be, closer to the length of this one here. You can see how much shorter the blades are. Pretty confident a bollocks dagger would be a lot bigger. But I still can't complain. I like this piece. It's really solid. Nice hardwood. Peened in there. This one, again, is made by the same company, SZCO. And you just, I'm such a big fan of practical tools, and it doesn't get more practical than this. Remember what I was mentioning on this one, how the accents up here on the guard and down here hurt the hand? Well, that's not going to happen with this, and I'm pretty confident that's why they chose to go with this bollocks design. In the heat of combat, you're in the middle of a battle, you're doing what you're doing, tussling around, sword fighting. You have to reach really fast and grab your dagger. This is really easy to grab. To locate where it's at on your person without having to look down, grab it, grab hold of it, pull it out fast, and operate it. It's real nice and easy. This doesn't hurt the hand in any way, yet still even provides a little bit of a guard. So, that's why I'm gonna give this one to my top, the Bolix dagger. Definitely gotta do a good video with this one. With any of these daggers, 1, 2, and 3 here, they're edged primarily, but I don't really see myself getting too many good cuts out of them. Just not a lot of mass to these blades. They're not very heavy. However, thrusting, like I mentioned, should be the primary goal with any of these.